Hey everyone, Techni here with a review on the Razer Huntsman Tournament Edition keyboard. Now real quick, straight off the bat, this keyboard's got some pretty cool features packed into it, especially coming from one of these big brands, which we really don't see that often, if ever. Let me show it to you real quick. Alright, so as far as the basic looks of the keyboard right here, straight out the box, I mean, it is just crisp, simple, and just stealthy. I really love it. It's just simplistic and to the point, which I honestly love. Alright, so as far as the build of the keyboard here, as you saw, it does come with the USB cable right here, the braided one right here, and it's pretty heavy duty, like really heavy duty braided cable, so I don't think you have to worry about this by any means. But if you saw in the close-ups right there, you got the USB-C right here, and it has the notches, as well as the back where it connects right there. You got the notches right in there, so it slides in there, kind of locks right into a spot right there, and it's not going to move at all. It is in there very nice, tight, and secure. Alright, so now speaking about the board itself right here, it's a lot lighter than I did expect. As far as the build right here, the bottom of the board is plastic, and then you have a metal plate right underneath the keys right here. Now speaking about the keys, this point I think is really cool, especially coming from one of these bigger brands, right? As far as the keycaps here, we have double shot PPT, and I honestly have not seen that from any of the other big brands before. We usually got that ABS etched the keycap, right? And they're very nice keys as well. They got a very nice little texture over them right there, just a very nice basic classic font. Again, very crisp and solid keycaps here. So again, as far as those keys right there being double shot PPT and everything, just very solid keycaps, that's a really big step forward, especially for these big companies. And we've reviewed many other big company boards, or you can watch many other ones online, and just about none of them come with double shot PPT keycaps. I mean, this is awesome, and I really hope other companies are seeing this here. So as far as basic build and just aesthetics of it, I think it is awesome. It's solid, and again, it's just crisp and so minimalistic that it looks fantastic on your desk. Again, it doesn't really scream gamer. You can bring this thing to the office or put it on your gaming computer, and I think it's going to suit any situation right there. But next thing I want to talk about, which is the next big point on this keyboard, are the switches. Now, the Razer Huntsman TE here is using these Razer linear optical switches. Now, these are looking awfully familiar, as we have seen the same type of switch within the Bloody keyboard we recently reviewed right here. So again, very similar keys right here, and as far as these keys, they probably feel more like a Gateron Red if I was to compare it to anything. Definitely a lot smoother, because again, we're using that optical right here, which goes right down, activates that light, lets that light pass through, and then registers your press right there. You can see every single key throughout the board here has the stabilizer on it, and again, that's every key throughout the board right there, so very nice and stable across the board. But as I've stated with many other keyboard reviews that we've done here, I mean, optical switches are nothing new here. We've done many keyboard reviews with optical switches, right? We're just seeing it implemented in a lot more boards lately. But the one concern I always have with optical switches, because again, they go down, register that light, come through, and then your switch goes. You don't have all these other parts touching and rubbing against each other, right? My one concern about that is, again, maybe crumbs and dust getting through and into that switch, and if it gets lodged right in there, will it deactivate it right there? I'm not too sure. That's just always been my one concern with optical switches. Now, as you can see, they're using a standard bottom row right here. Now, I haven't used many Razer keyboards, so I'm kind of like, what the heck's the difference between the bottom rows? So I researched a whole bunch of Razer keyboards, and what I noticed, they used the function and the Windows key and all. Some of these bottom keys were a little bit smaller than the standard size, and now they have that basic standard size, and the benefit of that is you can go ahead and swap out and find different keycaps all over the place. Bam, and they're all going to fit, even on these optical switches. Now, also talking changing keycaps, as you see, we got this one out here. Again, double shot PPT, very nice, but when you pop out the bigger keys, the stabilizers come with it rather than being built into the board, as you can see here. Now, these stabilizers do pop out, so whenever you change your keycaps out, if you decide to, make sure you pull these out. Be kind of gentle. They do come out, but you got to get some force. They don't just slide out, so just be careful that you do not break those stabilizers, because again, they go into the board right here. All right, so let's go and get this sound test here. Again, double shot PPT keycaps, Razer linear optical switches, and underneath the keycaps here we have the metal base. All right, so as far as that sound test right there, yes, this thing is loud. And it's not like a clicky tactile loud like, say, a blue switch, for example. It's just loud as far as the switch and the contact of your keycap to the switch right there. Now looking at the switch right here, or the keycap, as you can see, we have those bars going across right there. So whenever you put the keycap on, that bar comes right down and bottoms out onto the switch right here. And that's where you're getting that sound from. First, we're getting this sound, right, which isn't too loud, but then when we put the cap on, as you can hear, we got plastic to plastic. Now that's not a bad thing by any means. Again, it doesn't sound cheap at all. Again, it's almost a different sound. You really hear it. If you like that tactile sound, this has it. But me, honestly, I have my son's room right next to mine, right over here, and at night, whenever I'm gaming or something, I mean, it keeps them up. My wife actually told me, hey, you mind switching keyboards? Now, also as far as the keycaps here, and you can probably see it right here, the RGB is crisp on this board, very nice. And I have 4 lights going on here. 4 big old studio lights here, right? And you can still see the RGB. I mean, it is so crisp. You don't have all this crazy light radiating out of it or anything. It's just very solid. I honestly love it. Again, it's so crisp. It's within the keys right there, and it looks perfect. It really does. Now, one thing talking about the keys and the RGB right here, as you can see in some of these top keys here, for example, let's look at the pause button and look at that P, how it's kind of faded as far as the RGB. It's not as crisp as, say, for example, the U. If we pop that key off, you can see our double shot right there, but look at the top. You have those little splots of black right there, so it looks like we might have just had a bad mold here and there, because again, it's not on every single key. It's hit or miss across each key, so I think every board just might be hit or miss here and there, because again, it's not every single key. Now, one other thing, kind of talking RGB and kind of mashing some functions and controls into this board right here, whenever I hit the function, as you see, the top function row is going to light up white right there. It cuts off the rest of the RGB on the board and then lights up the top row right there, which is pretty nice because it lets you know which keys you have right there to use when you're pressing that function. Now over here, you can control the brightness of your RGB, whether it be lower or higher right there. There's no way to control the effect or the color on the board. You have to use the software for that. And you have on-the-fly macros right here with your F9 and then game mode. All right, so we are now in the Razer Synapse software. Let's go on and select our Huntsman TE right here. And as you can see, right off the bat up here, we have onboard profiles. And as you can see, you can set up your profiles right there and save them within the keyboard. Right over here, you have game mode, which you can keep it always on or just enable whenever you're in game. Now, let's click on this right over here. And this is where you can start customizing all your keys, or you can just select them right here on the keyboard. And you have all of these options to customize it right here. I don't mess with any of that, but again, if you wanted to, you have plenty of customization within this board right over here. Let's go and click on lighting. Right up here, you can adjust your brightness, turn them completely off, or then just have, again, select your brightness level right there. You can have this, which is your switch off lighting, which is as far as you want it to, turn off within a minute or 15 minutes, whatnot right there. Then you have effects right here, and you have plenty of effects built in right into the Synapse right here. Plenty of options to choose, and then within each effect you can have different directions or colors within there. You have advanced effects as well, which uses the chroma here. I do not like using the chroma, but if you wanted to, this board can use. Now, kind of talking those functions and everything and also activating game mode or whatnot, that also goes in line with your caps lock here, which whenever you press it, it's just going to turn white. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't like that because it throws off your color effect right there. If you got a wave or a solid color, whatever, that's always going to stay white right there. So again, as minor as it sounds, what I would have liked to seen implemented was maybe a couple of lights right here for game mode, cap locks, and stuff like that. Again, super minor, doesn't really matter. Me just being nitpicky, probably, but that's what I would have liked to see. All right, so the one thing I'm sure you're questioning right now, is it worth $130? And honestly, as I stated before, I really like this board. And yes, I do think it's worth that. You're getting those optical switches right there, very soft and to the point, very quick switches, double shot PBT keycaps, crisp RGB, a very solid build. Again, it looks simple, but it's incredibly crisp and it just looks absolutely awesome. So yes, I think it's worth that price. If there's one thing I'd tell you to, hey, look at this before you make your purchase. Again, go back to that sound test and think, okay, are you gonna be able to use it with that loud sound? Because it is loud. And again, with my son's room being right next to mine, I couldn't use it at night. So that's the one thing I'd tell you to kind of, hey, okay, let me listen to this sound test and will I be able to use it? But again, all in all, I love the board. I think it's a fantastic keyboard here. Let me know if you use it. Write down in the comments on what you think about it. Let me know what you think about that sound and how does your environment around you, your family members, everything around you, what do they think about the sound there? But hey, thank you so much for stopping by and watching this review on the Razer Huntsman TE keyboard here. I highly appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for some future tech videos. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye now.